I never imagined that caring for my wife would lead to the most shocking moment of my life. For 6 years, I devoted myself entirely to Emily, my wife, my partner, the woman I vowed to stand by through every hardship. She was paralyzed, confined to a wheelchair, and every day was a battle to keep her comfortable, safe, and hopeful. I thought I was doing everything right, sacrificing sleep, work, and my own well-being without complaint. But then one day, a doctor looked me straight in the eye and said words I never expected to hear: "Call the police." Those 4 words shattered my world and forced me to question everything I believed about our life together. What had I missed? What was really happening behind the scenes? This is the story of love, sacrifice, betrayal, and the painful truth that changed everything. Stay with me, because what comes next will surprise you, and it's a lesson no caregiver should ever ignored. Before the accident, Emily and I shared a life filled with laughter, dreams, and simple joys. We met in college, 2 young people drawn together by a connection that felt effortless and true. From the moment we met, it was clear we were meant to be. Our love blossomed quickly, built on shared values, late-night conversations, and a deep respect for one another. We married young, full of hope and excitement for the future. Emily was vibrant and full of life, always the heart of every gathering, the one who could light up a room with her smile. Together we dreamed of building a family, traveling the world, and growing old side by side. Then everything changed in an instant. A car accident left Emily paralyzed from the waist down. The woman who once danced through life was suddenly confined to a wheelchair, her world shrinking overnight. The diagnosis was devastating, but our love remained unbroken. We faced the new reality together, learning to navigate the challenges that came with her condition. The early days were filled with fear, uncertainty, and countless hospital visits. But through it all, Emily's spirit remained strong, and I promised to be her unwavering support. Our bond deepened as we adapted to this new life. But beneath the surface, the strain of caregiving began to weigh heavily on us both. Caring for Emily became the center of my world, a role that demanded every ounce of my strength and patience. Each day began before sunrise, the quiet of the house broken only by the soft rustle of sheets and the gentle hum of medical equipment. I would carefully prepare her medications, adjusting doses as prescribed, and help her with the simplest tasks that most take for granted: brushing her hair, feeding her, and repositioning her to prevent painful bed sores. The scent of antiseptic mixed with the faint aroma of lavender lotion became the backdrop of our lives, constant reminder of the fragility of her condition. There were moments of profound tenderness: Emily's grateful smile when I helped her, sip water, the way her eyes would light up when I told her stories or played her favorite music. Those moments fueled me, reminding me why I endured the exhaustion and sacrifice. But the journey was far from easy. Nights were often sleepless, filled with worry over infections or sudden pains. I watched helplessly as Emily struggled with frustration and grief over her lost independence, her tears breaking my heart. The emotional toll was immense. I felt isolated as friends drifted away and social invitations faded into silence. Sacrifices piled up, my career stalled. My health declined, and my own needs were pushed aside. Yet I never complained. I believed love meant sacrifice, and I was determined to be her rock. But beneath the surface, the weight of caregiving grew heavier, a silent storm that neither of us fully understood. The highs and lows of those 6 years shaped us, testing our resilience and the very limits of our love. For years. I believe the biggest challenges were physical: the paralysis, the pain, the endless medical appointments. But slowly, subtle signs began to unsettle me, whispering that something was wrong beneath the surface. It started with medical complications that didn't add up, infections that lingered longer than they should, bruises appearing in places Emily couldn't have reached, and medications changing without clear explanation. Each new symptom felt like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit, but I pushed the doubts aside, telling myself it was just part of the struggle. Then came the strange behaviors. Emily, once so open and trusting, grew distant and hesitant. 8. Flinched when I touched her in certain ways, avoided eye contact, and sometimes seemed afraid, though she never said why. I noticed her phone calls becoming secretive, hushed conversations ending abruptly when I entered the room. Friends and family who once visited regularly began to disappear, placed by unfamiliar faces who came and went quickly, always with a sense of urgency and secrecy. External pressures mounted as well. Bills appeared that I hadn't authorized, and decisions about Emily's care were made without my knowledge. Doctors who once welcomed my questions now seemed evasive, their explanations vague and unsatisfying. A growing unease settled in my chest, a feeling that the life I had fought so hard to protect was slipping through my fingers. I tried to ignore the warning signs, convincing myself it was just stress or exhaustion. But deep down, I knew the calm before the storm was ending and the truth waiting. To be uncovered would change everything. The day the doctor told me to call the police is forever etched in my memory, a moment so surreal it felt like the ground beneath me had vanished. I had gone in for what I thought was a routine checkup, hoping for reassurance that Emily's condition was stable. Instead, the sterile hospital room felt colder than ever as the doctor's eyes met mine with a seriousness I hadn't seen before. His voice was calm but carried a weight that crushed me. "You need to call the police." For a long moment, I was frozen, unable to process the words. My mind raced, desperate to make sense of what I had just heard. Why? What had I missed? Was this some terrible mistake? The man who had cared for Emily every day for 6 years was suddenly being told to involve the authorities. Confusion and disbelief swirled inside me, mixing with a growing sense of dread that tightened around my chest like a vice. Emotionally, I felt shattered. The trust I had placed in everyone around us, the doctors, the caregivers, even Emily herself, crumbled. In an instant, I questioned everything. My judgment, my love, my strength. How could this be happening? The weight of the accusation pressed down on me, suffocating and relentless. Yet beneath the shock, a flicker of resolve ignited. I knew I had to uncover the truth, no matter how painful, for Emily's sake and for my own. This was the moment everything changed. The moment I realized that love alone wasn't enough to protect the person I cared for most. The days that followed the doctor's warning were unlike anything I had ever experienced. At first, there was a numbness of fog that clouded my mind and dulled my senses. I kept replaying those words over and over in my head. Call the police. How could it be? How could the life I had dedicated myself to, the years of sacrifice and love, be overshadowed by suspicion and accusations? I felt as if the ground beneath me was crumbling, and I was falling into an abyss I couldn't escape. But the investigation was relentless. Authorities arrived, their presence both intimidating and necessary. They began to peel back the layers of our life, scrutinizing every detail, every moment I had lived with Emily. What I had believed was unwavering devotion and care was now shadowed by whispers of abuse and neglect. Medical records were reviewed with a fine-tooth comb, caregivers and family members were interviewed, and every corner of our home was examined. Each new detail uncovered felt like a fresh wound, a stark contrast to the years I had spent devoted to Emily's well-being. I remember sitting in the sterile hospital waiting room, clutching my hands together, trying to steady my racing heart. The faces of the investigators were serious, their questions probing and precise. They asked about Emily's daily care, about who had been with her at certain times, about any changes in her condition. I answered honestly, but inside, I was unraveling. How could I explain the bruises I hadn't noticed? The times when medications were missing or delayed? The moments when Emily winced in pain but said nothing? I had been so focused on being her caregiver, so consumed by the physical demands of her condition, that I had missed the signs, or worse, had been blind to them. As the investigation deepened, I uncovered truths that shattered my world. There were signs of mistreatment that I had either overlooked or been too trusting to question. Unexplained bruises appeared on Emily's arms and legs, places she couldn't have injured herself. Medications were withheld or administered incorrectly, causing her unnecessary suffering. There were times when her pain was ignored or dismissed by those who were supposed to protect her. The people I had trusted implicitly, the nurse's aides, even some family members had betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. The cruel irony of it all was almost unbearable. My love and sacrifice, the countless hours I had spent by Emily's side, had been met with deception and harm. I felt a deep, gnawing sense of guilt. Had I failed her? Had my devotion blinded me to the danger lurking in the shadows? These questions haunted me day and night. But amid the pain and confusion, a fierce determination began to grow. I realized that I could no longer be passive. I had to fight not just for Emily's safety, but for justice. The betrayal cut deeper than I ever imagined possible. It was a wound that went beyond the physical, reaching into the very core of my being. But it also steeled my resolve. I knew that protecting Emily meant standing up to those who had wronged her, no matter how difficult or painful that fight would be. I became her advocate, her voice when she could not speak for herself. I gathered evidence, documented injuries, and worked closely with the authorities to ensure that the truth would come to light. Justice, however, was not swift. The legal process was slow and arduous, filled with delays, hearings, and the emotional toll of reliving painful memories. Those responsible for harming Emily faced the full weight of the low charges were filed. Investigations continued and accountability was demanded. The betrayal that once seemed overwhelming began to unravel as truth and fairness prevailed. For me, the fight was far from over. But seeing justice served brought a measure of peace I hadn't thought possible. Throughout this ordeal, my emotional journey was complex and exhausting. The road to recovery was long and painful. I wrestled with a whirlwind of emotions: guilt for not seeing the signs sooner, anger at those who had caused harm, sorrow for the pain Emily endured, and fear for what the future might hold. Yet, amid the turmoil, I found strength. Strength in knowing that I had protected Emily when it mattered most. Strength in the support of those who believed in us. Strength in the hope that healing was possible. Our family, though shaken too, its core began to heal. The bonds that had been tested by betrayal grew stronger through honesty, communication, and mutual support. We learned to lean on each other in new ways, to rebuild trust brick by brick. The experience forced us to confront uncomfortable truths, but it also opened the door to deeper understanding and compassion. We discovered resilience we didn't know we had, and a renewed commitment to protect and care for one another. Though the scars of betrayal remain, they no longer define us. The experience taught us invaluable lessons about vigilance, trust, and the importance of speaking up. We moved forward with cautious hope, determined to rebuild a life founded on trust, love, and true care. The pain of betrayal was deep, but the promise of healing gave us the courage to face each new day together. I often reflect on how fragile life can be, how quickly the people we love can become vulnerable, and how essential it is to remain vigilant. Caregiving is a sacred responsibility, one that requires not only love and patience but also awareness and courage. It's easy to become overwhelmed by the physical demands and lose sight of the emotional and psychological well-being of those we care for. But this journey taught me that true care means being present in every sense, watching closely, asking questions, and never ignoring the signs that something is wrong. The betrayal we endured was a harsh reminder that not everyone who enters our lives has good intentions. It's a painful truth, but one that caregivers must face. Protecting a loved one means being their advocate, their shield, and sometimes their voice when they cannot speak. It means standing up to those who would do harm, even when it feels impossible. Despite everything, love remains the foundation of our story. It is fierce, watchful, and unwavering. It is what carried me through the darkest days and what continues to inspire me to fight for Emily's dignity and well-being. Our journey is far from over, but we face the future with hope, resilience, and a commitment to never let betrayal define us again. To anyone watching who is caring for a loved one, I want you to know this: your role is vital, and your vigilance can save lives. Trust your instincts, ask the hard questions, and never be afraid to seek help. You are not alone in this journey, and there is strength in community and support. If this story resonates with you, please share your own experiences in the comments. Your voice matters, and together we can create a space where caregivers feel seen, heard, and empowered. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more true stories that reveal the strength, struggles, and resilience of real families. Together, we can build a community of support and understanding. Looking back on everything that has happened, I realize that love, while powerful and essential, isn't always enough to protect those we care for most. Love is the foundation, yes, but true caregiving demands so much more than just devotion. It requires vigilance and unwavering watchfulness that never lets down its guard. It demands courage, the kind of courage that pushes you to face uncomfortable truths, even when it hurts. It means being willing to confront realities that you might rather ignore, because the well-being of someone you love depends on it. Trust, I learned, is not something to be given blindly. It must be earned, nurtured, and guarded carefully, especially when the stakes are so high. This journey taught me that resilience isn't just about enduring hardship or pushing through pain. Resilience is also about knowing when to act, when to speak up, and when to fight for what's right, even if that means breaking your own heart in the process. It's about recognizing the signs that something is wrong, even when everything seems fine on the surface. It's about listening to your instincts, those quiet alarms that whisper warnings when logic tries to silence them. Sometimes the hardest battles we face as caregivers aren't against illness or injury, but against the very people who are supposed to help and support us. Betrayal and neglect can be subtle, insidious, and devastating. They can erode trust and safety in ways that are difficult to repair. I learned that protecting a loved one means more than just physical care. It means being alert to warning signs that might otherwise be overlooked, signs of neglect, abuse, or betrayal that hide in plain sight. It means paying attention to the small details, the unexplained bruises, the sudden changes in behavior, the inconsistencies in care. It means asking difficult questions, even when it feels uncomfortable or awkward. It means trusting your gut when something doesn't feel right, even if you can't immediately explain why. And it means being willing to take action, no matter how painful or complicated that action might be. Through it all, love remains the foundation of everything. It is fierce, watchful, and unwavering. It is the force that drives us to keep going, to keep fighting, and to keep believing in the possibility of healing and hope. Love is what gave me the strength to face the darkest moments and the courage to demand justice for Emily. It is what continues to inspire me every day to protect her dignity and well-being. Love is not passive, it is active. It is not blind. It is clear-eyed and determined. It is not silent. It speaks out against injustice and refuses to be ignored. In the end, caregiving is not just about sacrifice. It is about strength to strength. To stand firm in the face of adversity, the strength to be honest with yourself and others, and the strength to pursue justice relentlessly. It is about honesty with yourself about what is happening, honesty with those around you, and honesty with the person you care for, even when the truth is painful. But it is about the relentless pursuit of justice, ensuring that those who cause harm are held accountable and that the vulnerable are protected. Justice is not just a legal concept. It is a moral imperative. It is the foundation upon which healing can begin. That is the lesson I carry with me every day. It is a lesson born of pain, but also of hope. A lesson that I hope will resonate with others who find themselves on similar journeys. Caregiving is one of the most challenging roles a person can take on, and it is often a lonely path. The physical demands are exhausting, the emotional toll is heavy, and the isolation can be overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be that way. There is strength in community, in sharing our stories, and in supporting one another. When we open up about our struggles and our victories, we create a network of compassion and understanding that can sustain us through the darkest times. If this story has touched you, if it has given you courage or comfort, I encourage you to share your own caregiving experiences in the comments below. Your voice matters. Your story can inspire others who are facing similar challenges, who may feel isolated or overwhelmed. By sharing, we create a community of support and understanding. Place where caregivers can find strength, advice, and hope. No one should have to walk this path alone. Together, we can lift each other up, offer guidance, and remind one another that resilience is possible, even in the face of great adversity. Please don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you, and subscribe to our channel for more true stories that reveal the strength, struggles, and resilience of real families. By subscribing, you become part of a community that values honesty, courage, and the power of shared experience. You'll be the first to hear stories that inspire, warn, and heal, stories that remind us all of the importance of vigilance, love, and justice in caregiving. Thank you for listening and for being part of this community. Your courage, your love, and your resilience are what make all the difference. Together, we can face the challenges ahead with strength and hope, knowing that we are not alone. Every story shared, every voice heard, brings us closer to a world where caregivers are supported, protected, and empowered. So stay strong, stay vigilant, and above all, keep loving fiercely.